What's up guys, Gary7 here and welcome to the City Skylines tips and tricks videos. This one here is going to be more focusing on the landscaping of the game. So this is my third time making it. This time I've made sure my mic is unmuted because the last few times they haven't been. So if you go onto the landscaping tool, so it's this one here at the bottom, we've got 4 different options on your first set of landscaping tools. It's more your terrain. So the first one is the shift terrain. So if we press R3 we can check it, so it's use X to elevate the terrain and use square to lower the terrain, so we can test that out here. And then left and right on the D-pad does the different sizes, up and down does your strengths. So if we go here and press square for example, we'll dig a big hole, hold X here, we'll build a big hill. So you can see they basically get rid of the terrain and build it up. We can do another bit here, you can lower it and heighten it. You can watch my soil goes up when you dig out holes and obviously it decreases when you make mountains. The next option is the level terrain. You level an area, use square to pick a height, then use X to paint the chosen height. So if we look at this hole we've made here, we want to probably level everything back up to this bit here, so press square, and then with the X button go over where we want to get rid of the stuff and it will basically flatten it out into a plateau. Again, depending on the strength, depends on how quickly. So if you have a lower, it will do it slower. So you can gradually do it. Or if you do it strong, then it will just really quickly get rid of what you made. But it's a way of basically creating flat areas on your area or getting rid of massive lump and hills. The next one is the soften terrain. So soften terrain by holding X to smooth gently and square for a strong effect. So if we go back onto our tools here, we'll dig a hole and a hill. And then if we soften this terrain, so it was X for gentle and square for a strong effect. So if we choose X here for example, we can slowly slope that down like so. We get a road now, just a standard road please. We should be able to, if we choose a road, so it says it's too steep so we can't actually build there. So if we get some more of this and then gently slope it down together, again we can use square to do it harsher. We then be able to go to this and create a road along that path. Again, you've still got a bit of a hill, but it's more of a gentle meandering hill rather than a big sharp hill. So I think that's a pretty cool way. If you've got, for example, we'll go over to this side of my city, we have this here. If we wanted to smooth that out so we could get roads up it, we could use that again, but we used the flatten tool here to flatten this out, which created us this really nice, I like the cliff edge here, and then we put our second part of the city up on that hill. I do like that look. But again, if you didn't like that, you could soften it down with that other tool. And then the final one is the slope terrain. So create a slope on the terrain. Set your end point by pressing square, then move to your start point by hold down X and move towards your end point. So if we create again another bit of a hill here, like so, grab this tool. We want to slope up to there. So if we started here, you can see if we gradually go to it, it will gradually build up a hill. I think that might be as high as it will go there. But there you go, look, we can keep... Oh, I don't have any soil, I've run out of soil basically, but it would create a nice gentle slope. So to get soil again, you just use your tool and dig a hole. Like that. But you can see basically it creates a nice gentle slope, so you can use that as a good way of getting like hills. Instead of having the roads on big slopes, you can then create them onto these bits. So it'll create a nice gentle slope for roads to go on. And a way of making your roads, instead of having to have bridges, you can use it for that. So I'm going to actually re-level this terrain because I prefer it level and I also need my soil back. But it costs money whenever you do this as well. As you can see, my landscaping cost is going up and down. Lucky I'm on my world where I've got a fair decent amount of money, so it's not too much of an issue. And the next bit, and probably one of the most important, is footpaths. So you've got 3 different types of path if you have the basic vanilla game: the paved paths, the gravel paths, and the bicycle paths. So gravel paths. Gravel paths allow pedestrians to walk fast and easy where cars cannot go. Bicycle paths, paved paths are good for cycling. Only bicycles are allowed on these paths. And then finally your paved paths, which paved paths are nicer to walk on than gravel. They offer access for pedestrians. So we can look over here for example, you can see there's a big gap here, no way of anybody getting across here. They'd have to drive all the way around to this roundabout, go on the underground road to connect to there, or go all the way over to this side of the city for example. So if we created a footpath that connects from here we can create a nice gentle slope over the railway, like so. Gently come back down, like we want it as gentle as we can. I think it's about 12, and then you can go like that, and then we'll delete this one house here if we can get it in the right place, like that, and you can see it connects it up to this road. This then enables pedestrians to walk all the way across here. We've already got somebody straight away using it, so it gives them a connection to the other areas of the city. Now each person as well using this footpath is one less person driving. So you can see down here, for example, by our main train hub, we get a lot of people using the footpaths when they come off the trains. They can connect then up to all the different areas, different sides of the road, to our different districts, and it basically gives them a way of getting around without having to worry about getting in a car, which is very, very important when a city gets big. You want less people driving, more people walking. And over here we've got a different connection. We've got cycle paths and footpaths. Now the reason we've got both is because the cycle paths, I find, work really well for big distances. So we've got a big distance here from left to right, from Mulberry Hills to Beechwood Park. Now they're cycling along here, if we zoom in, a lot more than they are. There you go, we can see more people there. They're cycling along here more than they are walking because of the size or the distance they're having to travel. So having a cycle path there is actually a really good idea. It gets them across there without having to use the roads, again, which is freeing up some more traffic. Another little tip I find is when building, leave 1 square extra. So rather than just having 8 squares and then building the road side by side, do 9. So if we zoned up here, for example, we'll just do a quick basic bit of zoning over here where we've got a big bit of space. So let's pause the game. Let's think here, by our airport, for example. Choose a road, any road. Do that, and we'll create a couple of straights just to have a look at it. If we were to go 8, like so, you can see they connect up. So when we were to zone, it would do a complete block fill, like so. Now, if we were to unzone this, for example, delete this road that we've just built, get another lane in, and go 1 extra square across. So you can see that's 2. You can do 2 or 1, it's fine. I do 1 just because it looks nicer. Then we were to zone here. Then if we were to get a footpath before it builds in, you can then, or even once it's built in, but then you can build a footpath connecting up via the centre. It's sometimes a bit finicky, especially when it's doing autosave. Once this is finished, we'll be able to show you properly. Come on, there we go. So zoom in here just so we can get it. In fact, I'm just going to do it this way. Grab it and bring it there. And then we would create, for example, a walkway across here as well, and then 1 across there. This then enables people to, if they're walking along this road, they can cut up here and cut across. They don't have to walk this little section here. So instead of walking up there, they'd walk across like that. It'd also enable them to walk from this side to this side. If they lived here but worked over here, for example, they could just walk across. So as we're saying tip-wise for the roads, if down here, for example, we've done it on the you have to use 4-lane roads, but before this was all standard roads like so. No, it was this one. You can see there's no access footpath wise there. If we change it to a different type, I mean, we'll just use the same, but you know, have a bus lane there. It enables them to have a footpath. Now it's a good way then of them being able to walk, because they can walk from that footpath that's there across the sidewalk, across the road. You can see they're using it. And it's a way of people getting across there, guys. You see the people walking there now from one side of the road to the other without having to walk all the way to the end of the district. We've created more of them all along the place. It just helps. Again, here we've got a footpath that connects up to our metro monorail train hub, as well as the metro that's there. And we created a little walkway through there and a sidewalk there, so they don't have to walk all the way down to this road. And before I created that, they were all down here. It's congregating, it's getting quite busy. But now it's stopped it, and they can use this road a lot better, a lot more effectively. And you can see over here as well from our other metro line, we've got a massive use of people walking here. So each person walking is 1 less car on the road. 1 less car on the road means better traffic, hopefully, in the long run. And just to finish off with the gravel paths, they're exactly the same as footpaths. They look like mud instead, so we can show you one here, for example. So they're mud paths. I've used them a few times down here, for example, just because they're connecting well with the parks. You can then just connect them up the same way as you do others, again going on and off everywhere, so the people have got ways of getting around. And yeah, they basically are footpaths, they're just gravel instead of paved. The next tool is the trees. Again, there's lots of different types and sizes of trees and bushes, and they can basically make forests or areas pretty and nice. So we've got down here, for example, in Grove Hill, we've used the colour trees. So there's flower trees, all different coloured ones. So I can show you putting some of these down. You can see they add different colours. They work well with our different gardens we've got here. So if we have a look, I think this is the Japanese garden there, and over here is the tropical garden. They come standard with the trees around them. Then if you add them around like the little areas, it'll make a nice little park, and it'll bring the areas together quite nicely. Depending on what areas you're going for depends on what you'd build. So for example, over here we did a load of the giant redwoods. A thing to remember as well is you can see on the left hand side we've actually got farmland. So if we go down to our info view here and check on our natural resources, this here was green, like here. So this here is classed as farmland, or fertile land. But if you place trees on it, so we'll get just some of the small ones, go to a large brush, strong strength, connect these up here. Now we go back down to our info view, you can see it's changed it to forestry. Not as strong as here because this is a really thick forest, but it's changed it. If we were to delete the trees, you do not get that fertile land back. So fertile land, you need to be careful. You do not, if you're going to use it for farmland, do not cover it in trees. If you do, you will lose that area for good, even if you removed it. So we'll have a look down here, for example. We've got our forest, our main farming area, but if we do this right on this edge, again, we can even use the giant redwoods just because it will do a bigger area. This now has changed this bit, which was green, the light green, into a dark green. Go back on our trees and we can press square, get rid of it all. We look down, it's now white, so this area has now become just standard, nothing there. We've lost the forestry that was there. You can see the slight edge of the circle. So be very careful when placing trees. Make sure you want a forest there and you do not want to use that fertile land for forestry. Again, you can create nice forests by using different trees. We created one here before when I had my recording accidentally turned off. So again, you just use the strength up high, max setting, and then you hold it and you can see the little trees popping in. You can add all different stuff, bushes, smaller bushes, but when doing it, if you get to a point where it's fully maxed out, choose it and drop your size down and zoom in. You'll be able to then place the trees around. So you can create really nice forests. Again, this is just a circle one that I placed here just as a, showing you what to do, but you can change the shape by just, going out and adding all different stuff. But it's a way of making a forest if you want a forest, which is what we did over here. They act as well as good sound barriers. So if we check on the sound, which is this one here, by adding these trees, if we add them over this way, it will create a nice sound barrier here for the residents. We've used it down over here. Again, put trees around the back here to quieten down the wind turbines and things like that. But yeah, I find it a really good way of creating a good natural sound barrier. After trees, again, you've got your vegetation. So we can look on the roundabouts. Again, it adds nice little leaves and stuff around the place. So like this, for example. They're all different sizes, all different textures. Basically, it just creates bushes on the floor. I can't quite get one in there. I can get one there. That's actually cool. I'd love to get one there. Would blend that in, but we can't. But it basically creates, instead of having a standard boring area, you can turn it as well with the L, left and right on the D-pad. Instead of having like standard grasses just like that, you create these little textured areas, and it's a way of making the area look more natural and more realistic. Again, different types of vegetation, all different things, they all work the same, they all do it. Again, down here you can see it just changes it from being plain grass into a textured area. On PlayStation, if you go out too far, you do lose that texture, it just looks boring again, but that's just what the rendering is like on PlayStation. Next up, we've got rocks. So you can see we've got a few rocks placed here. Again, we did a rock sculpture on this bit, which is 3 separate rocks. So I can show you 1, 2, 3. And then over here again, we've placed rocks around. You can use it to look more structural, so you place it on the rock banks. Again, these are little tiny rocks. You place it, for example, here. It just gives you the illusion of a natural, a natural formation of rocks. This would all be rocky in real life, so like you'd place it around, a way of blending in the areas to make it look more realistic. I also use it as a way of making it look structural, because when you dig out big holes like this in real life, you're going to have rocks that poke out. They're going to leave in the big granite rocks, for example, where I live. You get all the granite up on the moors. So it's a way of creating like a nice structural looking bit, so rather than that being just pure mud, like over here, for example. This is what that looked like originally, just a mud bank. You then add these stones. We've done it there. We've also created it along here. Again, the textures aren't fantastic on PlayStation, but they could be a lot worse. And you've got different size rocks, different textures, different everything. But you add it along here, and it just creates this nice, I think nice anyway, nice look. You've got to be careful you don't get on footpaths and destroy buildings with it, but there you go. Look, it just creates a nice look to the banks rather than having pure mud. You can add these rocks to create a more realistic look, add texture, add depth to your world. There we go. So there's my, let me get this one in here. You can see it just adds something to the world there. It creates a nice bank. I think that looks quite cool, having that. Definitely more realistic than having just a pure mud bank like we've got over this side. And again, you've got different sizes. Some of these rocks are absolutely ginormous. So if we go, for example, to this one here, once the autosave's finished, there we go. We can see how big this is. It's absolutely massive. But you could put this one here, for example, put one beside it. Again, we'll twist that one like so. You can connect them up together a little bit. If we get it in the right place, make it look quite natural. You can have rocks like that. Add another small one this side, for example. Come in like that. And then we can add, you can just keep adding to it and make really nice little structures. Because I don't have the Park Life DLC, it's kind of awkward to be able to make, a really nice park with it. But again, it just adds something to the area. I think it looks quite cool having these around. Some of them come with vegetation and trees already as well, which looks pretty cool. And you can see what we've done down in this district. We created our own park with the trees, with the rocks and footpaths, and then as well as the footpaths, in your leisure section, on the very end section, you've got your props. So you've got all things from sand pits, lights, fountains, benches, bins, play equipment for the kids. So you can just, for example, we could add a seesaw down here, and it just creates your own little parks. But then, because I don't have Park Life DLC, I can't actually charge people to go in there. It's just more of a visual looking thing. And then down here again, we added all this while we were talking before in the other episode, or when I was making this before, when I had my microphone muted. It's just a way of making it look nice. Before, it just looked like this, and from that to that, I think looks so much better. And again, once you start getting into your city, rather than having big green empty spaces like that, you'd start adding the props and the trees and rocks to make these really cool looking areas. See how well the footpaths are working. I'm not sure if I've shown this one, but we created one that goes from our park in the Middle Heights district. You can see it then, it goes underneath up our highway across to our new Chestnut district. And we've already got people walking, not a great deal, but each person is one less car. One less car is really important, as you can see by our traffic over here. We're at an absolute nightmare with traffic. It's something I need to sort out in my actual main series. But 79% isn't too bad, but it's definitely not the best. We need to improve this, get rid of this junction, I think, and put a decent interchange in. But anyway, that's going off topic completely. Finally, we've got the canal or the water structures. So for this here, you've got a few different options. We've got our quay, which is this one here. So use quays to give waterfronts a nice finish. Quays are concrete walls built on the shore to even out terrain differences and allow for zoning near the water. So you can see we've done a quay here. Probably not got quite high enough because the water does keep lapping over it a little bit. But I'll show you over this side what you can do with them. So if we were to choose here, for example, and create this, if you look at the moment, it's currently on a slope. But as soon as you do that, it snaps it up so it creates a nice flat plateau there. And then when building, you'd build your roads just back from it. You know, you can choose. You can see as well where the zoning would be on roads by the circle. So if we were to go to here, for example, we'd only get 3 nodes or 3 squares. But if we were to get it just in the right place, like so, and then we were to angle it perfectly, takes a little bit of time, but there we go, like that, you get all 4, and you'd have houses built right to the edge of that key, and that can add some really nice looking waterfront housing. We've also got then the flood wall. So if you have an area where you've got canals or rivers that have a tendency to flood, for example, if this was flat, but yeah, if you have an area that floods, you get your flood wall up, you put it along, you drag it out, and it would stop the water from that height. So if you have like a small tsunami, for example, it would reduce the likelihood of it flooding. However, if you have this, for example, it was boxed into a land like that, you know, you've got this land in here all clear, it's massive, but that's all, you know, safe from this flood water, and water does get over, it will just create a pond, and the only way to get rid of it would be to create a hole in your flood wall to let the water recede again. So flood walls are good if you aren't expecting tsunamis or aren't going to have too much flooding, but they can create an issue once the flood water gets into it of creating like a pond. I'm going to delete this key a second. The next thing is the shallow canal, the medium canal and the deep canal, as well as the wide shallow, wide medium and wide deep. So these again are just different canals. They're different sizes, but again it all depends on where you're adding it. If we added it from here, it says our slope's too steep, so we'll add it from the entrance there. That's quite a large bit of canal. You can see this is a wide medium, and then in time that will fill up with water, and once that's filled up you can start then, for example, we could build one with a shallow small, go across here to our river. I want to do that in time, but again if we were to build it here, space already, we'd have to delete the road, but that's fine, and then we'd have to build it over the highway. But you can see the water fills in. We can have different sizes. Let's do a small one beside it. You can see the difference in size. This is a small shallow one, so it's definitely a lot shallower, and this is the wide deep or wide medium, but it fills with water. Once it's filled with water completely, you can then go to your ferries, and you can actually add ferry stops and things on the canals. So it's a way, if you were, for example, if I was to do a canal that went all the way across this district, we could have a ferry stop here, a ferry stop in the middle, and then a ferry stop at the end, and possibly one over here, enabling the people to go around on the ferries rather than again on cars. So we can delete that because we don't need them, but once you've deleted it you then get a little nice pocket reservoir. Again we'll delete that one because it's not where we want it, but a thing I want to show you, I think this is a pretty awesome tip. I'm going to use a medium one. You can place these in rivers, and you think, well, what's the point in that? Well, if we place that here, for example, and then place all these, we're going to pause it just while we do this. Choose them all. You can use, again, like I say, brand new ones. You don't have to take ones from where your structures are already in place. But it's a way of hiding your water inlet and outlet. So once you get to a bit where you're built up and you've got like 20, 30 of these, and they're looking quite ugly to be honest, just around, you can move them under the water and then connect it up with water pipes as standard, like so. Connect it up to the main hub, and then once this water fills in, which it will do in a second because we've already done it here, for example, you wouldn't even notice, but there's 4 of them underneath there, and again you can't see them unless we zoom in, and even then you can't see it. Here, I'll zoom out and you can just about make them out, but it's a way basically of getting rid of all of that structure. So if I was to do it again, which I'm going to do properly, still not quite filled in there, but it will, you can see the water levels are trying to even out. I might build it over here right by the power, so that we don't need to even have these wind turbines, we can get rid of them, and it'll make the area look nicer. So it's a way of hiding your inlet. You can do the same for outlets. I don't think I added any outlets down here just because they are quite large. Oh yeah, we've got a, I think that's actually just on, no, there is a canal there. So I'm going to use a small one, for example, but you can see it's a way of hiding these underwater. You can use it for any of the outlets, large or small. and the large ones are going to stick out a little bit because they're not quite deep enough down, because I've not got a deep canal there. But yeah, it's just a way of hiding all of these, you know, inlets and outlets of your water, making it look nicer. You can already see the difference that makes by just getting rid of them, and you can't even see them really unless you're overhead looking down at them. So yeah, if you want to hide your water, build a canal underneath your rivers, and you can hide your water inlets and outlets in there. That's pretty much it for the landscaping. You can see you can create some nice parks and areas for people to walk around. Like I've said throughout this video, the more people you see walking, the less cars that are on the road. You do have to be careful though that when they get out of the underpass, they don't run out the pocket cars like they're doing and cause a backlog of cars on this section instead. Also, the pedestrians using the footpaths do create a backup of traffic, but because I've created some extra paths around here, it should hopefully stop them going too many people there and make the traffic flow a lot nicer. If you found this tips and tricks video useful, or this guide useful, let me know. If you want to check out my series or my Let's Play on this map, come and check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. But until next time guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye bye.